What the fuck? I just went live on my stream, now I'm hearing music from something. I don't even know where it's coming from.
It's coming from KCM.
Oh, I was tripping out so much, I'm not even looking at the stream. I was like, where the fuck is that coming from?
This is KCM's mix. Take me on a ride, I got a good feeling.
It's kind of uplifting. It's good vibe music.
He puts out a lot of streams where he just plays music too, actually. It's like a DJ mix. He puts out like a couple of them a week, I think.
Yeah.
Around like an hour long, something like that. A bunch of Korean music and EDM and stuff.
That's nice.
Yeah, kind of interesting. He's got multiple interests. Can find the start here.
Alright, put this link out. Oh, of course, Love's No Change says that's the... Some of these discords keep changing, man.
It is what it is.
I changed by staying the same. Alright. That'll do.
Alright, hit Audacity.
Let's get it.
And here we are with another week of KCM. It's here, week number 6. Getting close to that final. This is ASL is on the horizon. Queen versus Rush for game number 1. Should be a banger. Shun, how you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing fantastic, Saying. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing awesome, man. I'm really excited to be casting ASL with you this season.
Yeah, it's literally just in a couple of days. It's kind of crazy to think about. And some of the groups look absolutely insane. It's going to be a wild one. I don't know exactly who's going to win this ASL, but I have a feeling it's not going to be who we expect. I don't think it's going to be Sulky's time to get a 4th title.
You don't think Sulky's going to take a 4th title? That's, I just about choked on those words, really.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
a bold prediction there, Shun.
No, I genuinely don't think he's going to get it. I think it might not be another Zerg. I mean, Hero, I think, has the strongest showing of maybe getting it this season than any other season. It's like his last time maybe to get it. Flash is about to come back soon after his wrist surgery, maybe in the next tournament. So yeah, I mean, I'm hoping on someone like Hero. Who knows, though? It could be someone like Best. I would also be happy to see Best finally get an ASL title, but the problem is like players like Best, as much as I like them, they just tend to not do so good at going super deep in these offline tournaments.
I know what you're talking about. I would love to see Snow take away a series.
Yeah.
I've got a signed poster of his here in my room and in my casting room, and I'm just such a big fan. He's been so close so many times, but he does seem to just choke at the very last moment, at the 11th hour. I don't know if he can win this season. Maybe if somebody else manages to take out Solkey, maybe in the round of 4, and then he makes it to the finals, I give him a pretty decent chance. But against Solkey again, I just don't see it. After his series previously, I'm pretty sure that Solkey's got his number.
Yeah, maybe. It does seem that, like, Snow just can't hang in the deep tournaments offline, and Shuttle was talking a little bit of smack recently. Jinjin did a translation video, and Shuttle was saying, like, it's one thing, you know, dominating these guys in these online games, but showing up offline is a totally different game, and, you know, players like Shuttle, even though he gets clowned on a little bit, did have a title from back in the day, so definitely a different caliber of player in terms of both offline and online, and if they can't hang with the best of them, I don't think they're going to have much chance going super deep into the tournament, maybe breaking through to the round of 16 and 8, but any deeper than that, they tend to just fall apart.
Oh, Shuttle just king of talking shit, man, that guy. He is a professional trash talker. But we're going to try to avoid talking too much about the ASL, even though we are casting it for the first time ever this season. We'll try not to give any spoilers at all and just focus on the KCM when it's time, especially during the tournament, guys.
Right.
During the tournament, we're definitely not going to talk about it and any of the results. And we would appreciate if you didn't talk about it in the comments either. Try to keep those spoiler-free. We're getting into this game with Queen, who is another kind of crazy contender for that title. Like, this guy's been performing so well, and he's already got 2 ASLs under his belt. He's just been looking really, really good. It's a great season of Starcraft, man. So many strong players.
Oh, absolutely. Like, some of these guys are playing absolutely out of their minds right now. You can tell just how seriously they take the tournament. We got Queen going for a straight-up 2-hatch lair build here, no 2.5 hatch, against the 1-Rax FE of Rutch with a wall-in on cross-map Radiant. So, looks like we might be seeing a fairly normal game to start things off here. We have some Naked Marines just waiting outside of the vision range of the Overlord to kind of make Queen a little bit paranoid about a Naked Marine push here to kill some drones, maybe forcing an extra couple of pairs of links.
Oh, Queen's not biting on that. He's pretty sure that those aren't coming all the way across the map on Radeon. Sometimes that will give you a false sense of security as the Zerg player, but here he's right. Rush doesn't want to push out, and he's behind this going into a very quick +1, so he really doesn't want to lose these early Marines.
Yeah. It seems like smart from both players here. Queen probably getting the better end of this stick. Also sending out a very nice early drone to take an on-location 3rd hatchery. Definitely a greedy way, but effective way of playing this race. I think he may even take it in the top left natural if he wants to play something crazy like Crazy Zerg, or if he wants to play a bit more standard, he'll probably take it in this very top left pocket on the high ground and then transition into a high fast.
An on-location 3rd base, yes, that sounds a little bit strange, but considering what happened in the last week of KCM with Action taking some off-location 3rd and 4th bases, I guess with that context, it does kind of make a little bit of sense. Yes, indeed, going to take that base in the top left-hand corner, the 4th, the main base over there at the top left. Kind of unorthodox in today's meta.
Right.
A lot of players are taking the natural. It's a little bit easier to set up sunken colonies and defend yourself. Less reliant on lurkers coming out at a really swift timing to get that lurker egg on the ramp and just block and defend yourself. Here it's space tile set. The ramp is very large, and so you'll have to get 2 lurkers in the perfect place to block if you're going to be able to block that at all. If that's the play that you're going to be going for here. It's not a common play anymore.
No, it's actually a lot harder to do than on the other maps with the smaller ramps. You can just block that with one single lurker egg and kind of laugh in the face of the Terran, but not here. You kind of have to respect the threat a little bit more. We may even see quite a few Mutalisks being made just to secure map control. Turret timings from Rush look pretty stellar, nothing crazy. Prioritizing the natural turrets, which are slightly closer to the Zerg player. Queen knows that he's probably got a better chance of going straight to the main with these Mutalisks, as those turrets will be slightly more delayed. And he's correct in assuming that, but they are still perfectly on time here for Rush.
Yeah, going to continue to add on those turrets as the Mutalisk number increases. He looks for a kill on one of those Marines, but Rush, right as the Marine pops out, stims and runs away. Really good control there. Just making sure that the snowball doesn't start to roll downhill as Queen comes in with those early Mutalisks. Now, +1's going to be finishing up here soon, and range is going to be coming online. Rush is ready to start pushing forward, and he's taken no damage thus far from the 2-hatch Muta.
Yeah, this is the critical thing. If you can't actually shave off any of this Bioforce, you're in a little bit of trouble as you desperately need to reduce this Marine count while you still can. The bigger this ball gets, the harder it is to deal with as the Zerg, and this could be problematic. We even see some drone transfers to the top left to try and get his economy off the ground just a little bit quicker as he dogs this Bio Ball. Rush doing a good job of keeping him in tight square formations, and with 3 medic support, you don't really have to worry about overstimming as much as long as you stim at the right times here.
This Marine Medic Ball is threatening to walk across the map and put some pressure onto Queen. Queen not really building that many mutas, though. It really does seem like he actually wants to block with Hydras. And we might end up seeing the pitfalls of blocking this way on this map. It is tough to make work, and if there's a single Marine hole and the Marines manage to get up on that high ground, it is basically death for the Zerg player. It's one of the worst ways to die, one of the most embarrassing ways to be defeated in this matchup, but it happens to the best of them under these pressure situations.
Yeah, I mean, you can technically block this ramp with one single egg. The issue is it has to be like pixel perfect, and if you like move it 1 pixel to the left or 1 pixel to the right of it should be, there's no way it's Marine tight, and suddenly you're just dead. So as you can see, he wants to make them safer further back up the ramp, so if they do push, they can burrow into a safer location and not be easily targeted down by those Marines. But he's trying to break into the natural instead. Queen, though, much more heavily defended down there. Another attack coming to the top. Look at that perfectly placed egg. Once it's right in the middle of the ramp like that, then you can't get up, but it has to be pixel perfect.
Yeah, it looks like Queen has been practicing this a little bit. I think everybody who plays Zerg at a high level has to practice a bit.
Right.
The perfect egg block on the ramp, but here it's particularly sensitive. Queen manages to land it, and he's got the lurkers at the top of the ramp ready to start pushing down now and actually taking this 4th base a little bit early. He's managed to snipe down with some good finesse this group that went to the top left while the main group of Marine medics went to the natural. So getting rid of half the army, now Queen regains map control and rushes on the back foot. Queen not actually going to come out and take his 4th base. Instead, moving his lurkers to the middle of the map. He set up a big lurker landmine here, and he might just get the right connection. No, he didn't put those on hold position. And now running forward here, he's going to gun these down. One of the lurkers goes down immediately, but he gets a great volley with that second shot from the lurker. Actually clears out all of these Marines. Really good control here by Queen overall.
Yeah, I was really surprised that Queen managed to salvage a bad situation. I thought for sure Rush was going to gun down at least 2 of those lurkers more or less for free, though. Good control with the Mutalisk, keeping this bio much more manageable now. This small contingency with just 1 single medic will not be long for this world. There are 2 dropships being made by Rush. Hopefully he can intercept these, or maybe that will just be devastating damage, because I don't think there's a lot in the way of drop defense for Queen besides 1 spotting Overlord. And he's diving into the main base right now, which will give a clean signal for Rush to just go with these dropships and try and dive maybe into his top left, although he's going to be intercepted by 2 Mutalisks, so Queen will have a little bit of heads up time in dealing with this.
Oh my goodness, if he didn't see that, I don't think, I think he might not have seen it. Okay, he must see it, right?
No,
yes, okay, he's going to pull his Mutalist back right now as he sees that.
Oh.
But these lurkers are out of position, and the Nidus Canal is not done. Great spread and split there. Gonna gun down both of these lurkers. Not gonna be able to save this. Oh, the Nidus actually finishes just barely in time here, but the lurkers are late to burrow. Great split here from all of these Marines. The mutas show up just in the nick of time. 5 remain. Now he can one-shot. Just barely enough mutas, just barely enough to one-shot these Marines down, and he clears it. But that was a very dangerous situation. A lot of lurkers were lost. Can Rush continue this momentum and break one of these bases?
I mean, he was close. Queen was at critical supply, just under 60 a moment ago. He had barely enough to hold his own against Rush. If he had like 1 or 2 lurkers less, maybe he would have just been dead there. Really kind of crazy to think about. Rush almost just dismantled him. If he somehow killed that Nidus, he could then also gamble with more dropships and keep hitting this top left quadrant over and over again, and eventually would defeat Queen, not being able to get over more units to defend. For the time being, though, has to kind of still challenge these Mutalisks because, oh, beautiful Radiate. Needs to avoid the Scourge, though. Does manage to target fire down those Scourge and avoids critical disaster. Keeping these first 2 vessels alive is huge right now. Can start laying siege to the Zerg just as they start to throw down additional macro hatcheries and try to get online with their hive tech. You do not want to let the pressure go off the Zerg at this point. You need full steam ahead. Keep as much tension on the Zerg as possible. Make them as uncomfortable as possible so they can't just take their 4th for free and they can't just explode in supply.
That's right, and Rush is starting to grow as well, not foregoing that at all. He's continuing to make SCVs and build up into a strong macro late game. Great snipe here, though, with the 2 Scourge coming in and grabbing that 1 dropship. Going to remove half the threat of drops coming into his main base now.
Yeah, that's kind of wild. There's another pair of Scourge coming in. He's unloading, but he's not going to connect in time with those Gauss rifles. 25 HP. That's 2 cycles of the ring. Not quite enough DPS. Only hitting for 24 or so. Not quite hitting the threshold that he needs to kill those Scourge in time. Radiate some of these lurkers. Like, it's kind of funny. I thought maybe he was going to go for an eraser trick there, but it's fine just to throw down some Irradiates onto some of these lurkers. Reduce the count that Queen actually has to leverage in his defense. If there's less than 3 lurkers in the stack, then eventually Rush can just break through one of the natural bases, especially if he's got some Firebats to fight under the Dark Swarm and a D-Matrix to protect them. You can still work wonders regardless of a fully set up Zerg, so Rush might be trying to maneuver himself into that kind of situation now. We see a couple of Firebats trickle out now. He knows that Dark Swarm will become the next contingency of Queen to stay alive, and he needs to have tools to deal with that.
Just 2 lurkers on the high ground is a dangerous situation. As soon as one of those gets irradiated, this location will be very breakable. Nidus Canal is just a little bit off. He's going to go ahead and put a drone on top of that, trying to block with something to make sure that he can't just irradiate through all this quickly and easily. More lurkers going to come up, but there's no Scourge available to push back these science vessels, and so he's a little bit wary of moving forward at the moment. He does bait the 1 irradiate with the drone. Yeah. So that's very good. That's a really good trade there for Queen. Even less than having an Overlord float of that. Only 50 minerals.
So you can manually click to find where the spot is, where you can still click on the lurker underneath, but it just takes too much time and attention. As a Terran player, there's so many things you have to press right now. It's just not worth the time to manually click that lurker. So throwing the irradiate onto the drone just to deal with it kind of makes sense with how much actions he needs just to pump out his infrastructure, get army out onto the map, and still lay siege to the Zerg. It's kind of understandable in this game state, but Queen getting away with taking this 4th base so easily might be problematic for Rush if he can't put on some major pressure in a few moments here.
Ooh, this could be a huge flag. No. Rush immediately stims and runs back. Really good control and response time there from Rush. Coming forward with some Scourge. Can he actually get a connection? Not quite. Oh, he does get one. He does get one on that 1 single vessel, but only 1 vessel so far has been taken out. Done a really good job of protecting these, and the number is starting to get high here as 4 bases come online. Rush is going to explode in supply, continue to grow out his critical infrastructure, adding on more and more barracks. He could also go into mass tank as well and start to fill this map with siege weapons.
Yeah, this is going to be battle cruisers instead. You've got basically a choice of like multiple factories worth of mines and into tanks, or you can go straight into battle cruisers and more or less stay on SK Terra. And that seems to be the latter choice here for Rush, just trying to mobilize some of his extra gas from this double expansion into pressuring the Zerg's gases. The battle cruisers are so good at soaking up Scourge hits. They one-shot Scourge Surge without Carapace upgrades. Take 6 Surge kits to kill as a result, because 5 to kill the Battlecruiser and 1 to soak up a shot. It's just so much gas and lava that's needed to deal with the Battlecruisers, which frees up the Terran to worry about other things that the Zerg might be throwing their way instead of just pure, like, lurker-ling. But take a big play onto this. Vessels needs to be careful. Trying to break through right now. There's not that many lurkers, actually. Somehow, some way, Rush is breaking through. There's no backup Defiler. Finally, the Defilers are coming from the high ground, but they've already been irradiated. The Vessels have been plagued, so they will be dealt with quite easily by these Scourge, but it doesn't really matter. Maybe Rush can still break this hatchery.
Ooh, Rush is just targeting down the hatchery. There's the Dark Swarm on top of all this, so the Lings can kill the Marines, but the Hydras are not really helping out. And yeah, that hatchery does go down. Rush taking a massive advantage now. He just didn't have anything to consume. Had 70 energy on his Defiler and let that die to an Irradiator. Irradiate. It's just so hard to keep on making Defilers over and over again as they're constantly getting irradiated again and again and again. Eventually, there's going to be a moment of weakness, and Rush hit that moment perfectly. After all the harassment, it finally pays off. Huge wave of fire bats coming out. He knows that Queen is on the ropes, and maybe he can push through a Dark Swarm and get a win here.
Yeah, sometimes you're just counting on like 1 Dark Swarm and 1 Lurker holding the line, and with a round of fire bats, that's no longer an option. Though with these Hydras, he's doing a great job of targeting down some of this infantry, reducing this bio count. Kind of the best defense is offense sometimes, and he's kind of trying to enact that here in the middle of the board, getting some Lurkers down here as well to support these Hydras. He's trying to rain down as much of a force to this natural third of Rush as possible and switch Rush back onto the defense just for a moment so he can re-secure this 4th and get himself back online again. He knows that Rush has had a chance to explode here. If this Defiler gets picked for free, that's going to be huge. He does manage to shuffle it back and throw down a Dark Swarm. That's critical, but with no Lurkers underneath this Dark Swarm, these Firebats are going to maybe reign supreme.
Well, the Defiler and Hyde just move back away from this Dark Swarm. Now the Lurkers popping out here. 4 of them is going to be way too much for Rush to handle. He's right on the back foot as this army makes its way into his 3rd base. I think he might have to abandon this position. He has taken another base down in bottom right, though. And, I mean, he looks like he wanted to get into a bunch of tanks as well, realizing that this is a Hydra Defiler play. It's much better to go tanks here, much better to have those siege weapons than to have battle cruisers. As strong as they are, they just really don't deal much damage when the Dark Swarm and Hydra combo is brought to bear. Oh, bringing his army up here to the 3rd, though, or 4th, excuse me, Queen. Left nothing back at home to defend. He is going to get broken here, and as Rush is losing this base, he's going to break the base of Queen. A lot of stuff coming down this ramp, but I don't see a Defiler, so this is really bad for Queen. He loses his 4th again.
I mean, Firebats broke through underneath the Dark Swarm, killing that Lurker, and now killed that hatchery yet again, and Rush inversely saved his own CC with a critical repair. Queen having to back out. This is looking better and better for Rush as the time progresses, and those tanks will definitely be trading a lot better than those battle cruisers would with this Hydra Defiler composition from Queen. This is looking really ideal from Rush. Queen is trying to make a game of it still, coming out onto the center of the board with some small Hydra forces, trying to pick off what he can, maybe hunt down some of these low HP plagued vessels, but not able to really find too much here. 108 supply to 190. If Rush can just leverage his army into one big conglomerate and start to put the pressure onto Queen, I don't know if he's got enough critical mass to fight him back.
Ooh, he's pushing him back in the middle. This is a lot of Hydras, but he's spending the best part of his army without having any Defiler support. You need that Defiler support. Unless you are light years ahead in economy, they're just not going to fight that well. They're not going to fight well enough to take a decent enough trade to win this game. So Queen needing to get a 4th gas online, finally starting to move in that direction, finally getting that back up and online again, but siege tanks are starting to come out, and they're going to start making these trades worse and worse for Queen.
Yeah, it's 3-1 upgrades for the infantry of the Terran, and 3-2 on these the range units for Queen. So Queen actually has a little bit of an upgrade advantage, which is why the Hydras are trading so well with those Marine units, but it doesn't really matter. There's just sheer numbers for Rush right now, laying siege to him. Some of these Scourge are going to find connections, but look at those irradiated irradiates is going to completely cripple the support units of Queen, and this bust might actually be successful yet again. There's just a few Firebats in this as well to push through underneath this Dark Swarm if he so chooses. But look at this in the center board, another Dark Swarm down here with a tank. If he can somehow thin out the tank count this entire time, maybe he can finally turn it into a scrappy enough game to come back. But Rush just runs past the Dark Swarm and starts gunning down drones. He knows it's critical and just reducing the income of the Zerg at this point. Down to 70 supply is Queen. He's in critical danger right now.
Oh, Queen running out of gas, and GG is called. He taps out. I like the idea of the counterattack of the best defense is a good offense, but Rush agreed too much. He just, instead of trying his best to stop that push, that Lurker, Defiler, Hydra push over to the center left, he just turns around and goes directly into Queen's 4th base, crushes that position, and it puts on so much pressure that really Queen was never able to get off the ground with that 4th base. Really, really good game to start us off here. Should kind of a surprise to see Rush take out Queen, but
yeah,
maybe he is getting to another level. He's really practicing up going into this ASL. Queen, I thought he would just dish out or just take care of Rush, no problem, but I am completely wrong here.
Yeah, Rush is just a super solid Terran. Like, I was curious how solid he would be leading up into the ASL. We do expect great things from him. He's one of the better players, but he hasn't always been performing his best in the recent years. But now that ASL's around the corner, it really does seem like it's his time to shine yet again.
All right. Having a hard time finding my words here.
No worries, man.
All right. Cross off Queen. That's not what I expected, man.
Yeah.
That is not what I thought would transpire there.
I liked the game sense from Rush to like initially start making the battle cruiser tech and then realizing, no, we need tanks right now.
Yeah, I also really like the counter push from Queen to hit that 3rd base and try to like put the pressure back on. But
that was good.
You know, Rush just going, okay, all your units are down there. Well, you probably don't have anything.
You didn't have shit at home.
Yeah. Like, yeah, probably just you'll probably just fall apart if I attack you again.
Right.
Yeah, really good game sense from him.
Yeah, I like to see it.
Solid.
계속해서 이제 종체를 많이 보시면 아시겠습니다만 라인업을 공개했을 때 가장 먼저 종족에서 올라오는 이름이 그 선수가 주장이라는 얘기입니다.
Next up, we've got our boy YSC spawning over in the top right-hand corner. Rush down here in the bottom right. We are on, what's this called? Metropolis?
Yeah, Metropolis.
Get that right?
Yep.
And so, this brand new ASL map with a strong up-and-coming Protoss player. It wasn't too long ago that we were saying the same sort of thing about Rush, right? He was a strong up-and-coming Terran about 3-4 years ago. Now he's one of the Terrans that you watch out for every season of ASL.
He's just super solid all round and doesn't struggle in some departments as some of these other guys do. Can put out great games when he's on form. We'll have to see just how on form he is. I mean, it is ASL coming around the corner, so you assume that these guys have been putting in way more practice hours than usual, and also taking the game way more seriously in terms of their strategy choice and what behavior trees they go down when they're actually playing the game. There is like multiple ways of playing this game. You can play it more on a chill autopilot mode where you're just kind of going through the motions and not really trying to play as optimally as possible to kind of like save yourself some mental tax and not really like drain yourself by going all out every single time during training.
I think that's the way a lot of pro players actually play on the ladder.
Right.
More of an exercise than actual thoughtful practice. They're just kind of allowing their fingers to do the work, the muscle memory to take over, and then working on actual strategy and really trying to outthink their opponent in situations like this in tournament. like the KCM, like the Super Duel series and ASL, that's where they're really focused and their attention is fully on the game, their opponent's idea, the way that they play, and trying to decipher exactly what they're up to.
Well, my theory is that they have to do that because you need to be able to play at such a high level without thinking too much, so that it does free up your cognition, that you can start to strategize, so that you can go through the motions and hit all your timings, hit your optimizations, and then you've got your brain power to then think about what am I going to do in this situation.
Absolutely. I know exactly what you're talking about. When you're just learning a brand new build, or you haven't had a lot of time to practice a build, a lot of the time you're really not even capable of thinking about what your opponent is doing because you're just so focused on trying to make things fit together. But once you have practiced a build to such a high level where you can do it completely without thinking, that's when you're really able to get into that next level of StarCraft, where you're really able to start thinking about what your opponent's up to, and the different branches of your build can start to come together.
Yeah, looks like we got a standard opening here from Rush, and maybe a 23 Nexus here from YSC. Though the SEV is kind of hiding in the main base right now, trying to get a delayed scout and see exactly what's what. Can really help you optimize your build as Terran to know exactly what the Protoss is going for. Inversely, it's so good as Protoss if you can hide what you're doing as well as be a little bit greedy and make cuts here and there, or be super crazy in the tech path that you choose. If you do fully scout it as Terran though, you're in such a comfortable position. You can line up your build so much more easily with what the Protoss is doing, and you don't have to do so much like hedging of your bets or cookie cutter styles just to make sure you cover all your bases. He does see the full opening here from YSC, which is huge, and he will be able to get away with quite a comfortable expansion.
He's also seen the range upgrade coming from YSC, so he knows he could be under some pressure. That also could have been cancelled. That is a thing that some Protoss players will do, just cancel and throw down a bunch of other tech, maybe a Robo, maybe a Citadel, but it does end up a little bit off in terms of the timing. He's going to have a Robo coming up now. YSC playing a very straight-up game. Oh, almost catching this Vulture at the top of the ramp.
Yeah.
Was able to surround it with these two Dragoons.
Oh my
Interception. Gosh. First Vulture going to be executed here as it runs away from the natural. That was a pretty risky move there from Rush to just try to run up that ramp, and it doesn't pay off. Losing your first Vulture without dealing any damage is such a hindrance to the Terran.
Oh, absolutely. Like, if the game was even before there, I would even now put it as like a 55 to 60% Protoss favorite right now in this game state. It's so bad to lose that first Vulture. You can't slow down the third. You can't even see when he's taking the third. You have no information whatsoever, and you're down on trades because now these Dragoons can just bully you a little bit potentially, and you can't just shave off shields with that Vulture if you want to use it. If the Protoss was being super aggressive, it's pretty much bad in every metric in the game depending on what the Protoss was trying to achieve. Kind of wild stuff. It looks like it's going to be a very kind of a greedy tech play out of YSC. We see some Terran players do this, and he's also taking a lot of damage on this Dragoon. He needs to be careful. There's only one gateway production behind this while going into a fast Robo. It's how a lot of Protoss players have been playing recently. It's not that safe though. Even though you've got the fast range on these Dragoons, you've only got like 5 Dragoons to stop a Terran push right now.
It was pretty dangerous the way that he ran into the natural, but he runs forward now, picks off one of those tanks, and takes a lot of the oomph out of this attack. Really good handling of that push from YSC. He's going to be able to deny this coming any further and fill in the hole, the dangerous gap in his defense. That opportunity from Rush has gone by the wayside now. He's going to go all the way back home and just be happy that he's got a couple of mines out on the map. I'm surprised he doesn't have some Vultures going around the outside trying to find out what's going on, when this third base might be coming online. He's going to send one out now. And we're going to have a Reaver coming across the map here in just a moment.
Yeah, this reminds me of like the old school way of playing Protoss, except we used to do this with one base instead of an expansion. It's kind of like a modern take of an old idea of just getting this robot a little bit earlier so you can put on some early pressure while also still growing yourself. But this is a much more economic variant of that style. Little bit flimsy though to like a 3-tank push or something in the early game, which is what I was concerned about. You don't have nearly as many gateway units available to you to defend that. Sometimes you have like 7 or 8 units total at least. In this case, you don't have a maximum of like 5 or something. Can be very risky though. Pretty good mine and turret setup from Rush. He's really anticipating the Reaver harass from YSC and has done a great job of setting up turrets and mines in very critical locations here.
Ooh, that one mine just barely out of range, but the 2 tanks coming forward dealing quite a bit of damage. He's actually shaved the shields off and a lot of this HP on the Reaver. Second turret in the main, though. Oh, my goodness.
That's crazy.
That Reaver shuttle going down, that extra turret paying off huge. Completely unexpected for YSC. He had no idea that was there. And that's exactly the intention for Rush, having that extra turret. Oh, it's expensive. Another 75 minerals. That's another vulture, but sometimes it pays off huge. And I like what you were saying earlier, Shun, about the push, the 3-tank push being scary. And I thought that Rush was actually going to get a lot more done with that, considering the Dragoon ran in to try and shoot down that tank, lost a lot of its HP.
Yeah.
Some of those were very low as the push was coming, but YSC handled it very well. Can he handle this follow-up, though? This is a lot more tanks, and I only see a few Dragoons here. With no Reaver, he's going to have a hard time.
Yeah, it's 7 Dragoons to 5 tanks. That trade does not work in your favor at all, especially with the Marines soaking damage, Vultures shaving off your shields, and a little bit of Goliath support to prevent any shuttle bombs on top of those tanks as well. Kind of a really impressive setup from Rush. He puts 2 siege tanks back to keep these Dragoons screened away for just a few moments here, gets the other 3 tanks lined up in the rally point area, and now will let these 2 tanks join the rest of his force while the mines keep those Dragoons at bay just for a few moments to allow them safe transit. A really beautifully executed attack here from Rush, and there's not really much that YSC can do to respond to this. He can't even make probes at this third during all this because there's a single vulture that's now over there going to be bullying that and shaving off the shields off that Nexus, make it even easier to kill later. This is crazy. I think Rush is just outclassing YSC in this game.
Absolutely. YSC, he's managed to block reinforcements from coming across the map, at least for a few moments. He's only got Dragoons popping out, though, and he's loaded them up into his shuttle. He's actually ferrying them over to the 3rd base to try and clear this out, but a mine. Ooh, that was really close. He almost lost Dragoon here to those mines, or at least taking a bunch of damage. So picking those up and keeping them alive for now. Vultures actually managed to run around these Dragoons, and so they will reinforce. The natural Nexus goes down. He actually needed to come out and break this push before the natural Nexus fell. Otherwise, he was just kind of cooked. He doesn't even make a move towards that. And so I don't see how YSC can come back in this game, Shun. He is way far behind in supply. He's going to pull the trigger now, but Dragoons are having a really hard time coming down this ramp. Look at them all running around in circles. What am I looking at?
Yeah, it's kind of wild. Like, he actually will break this, by the way, but he'll pretty much lose everything for it, so he's still more or less dead. Like, he will technically be able to kill most of these tanks, but he'll be dead by the time he's cleared it. He's going to be down to like 65 supply and not really have much to show for it. He's got no Nexus in his natural. The Nexus at the 3rd hasn't even been able to produce probes this entire time, so yes, he will technically clear this attack, but Rush is in such a commanding lead still. It's kind of crazy to think about just how well executed this attack was. It does seem to be that Rush is playing his A game right now. YSC also has been no slouch. He's been performing pretty well in PvT recently. Does shut down that dropship on the exit, will save him from further harass in the future at least. Has got a healthy enough count of Dragoons. Maybe, just maybe, he can navigate his way onto the map with these and prevent more vulture harass and eventually start to etch his way back into a little bit of a playable mid game here, but it's going to be so difficult.
It's going to be so difficult, and all of this really came from the death of that shuttle that flew into the main, got caught by that turret, that unexpected turret there over the mineral line for Rush. A stroke of genius blocking that out. Another dropship, Shun. I mean,
He's
killing
relentless.
any probes when you've done so much damage already, it's just so valuable. So I definitely understand it. It's just not going to be expected by YSC at all, I think. He's
No.
just now building a forge. Gonna have cannons online way after this drop comes in, so
Right.
he's gonna lose a lot, it looks like.
Yeah, he's even walled himself out. Needs to cancel that forge if he wants to have any hopes of getting these units in here to defend, because there's just pure Dragoon. There's no Zealots to actually come in here and kill these tanks. So it's like, oh, well, okay, now I just can't mine for a while. I have to kill my own pylon. He has a shuttle. He can actually finally come back and dive bomb onto these tanks. That's why one of them sieged and one of them's not. He Rush is aware that he will be diving on with some Reavers or something soon and wants to at least save one of these tanks.
Dude, he built a third dropship. Rush?
He's crazy.
Oh my gosh, he's so crazy. And Vultures coming into the natural. They're catching these probes, transferring in between. There's the drop coming into the main as well. Oh my gosh. And this push coming up. 5 tanks along the wall here. They're going to kill every single Dragoon. Those probes glitching on top of the
Gateway.
It's on top of the gateway. It's just an amalgamation of chaos there from YSC at the end of that game. He wasn't able to put anything together, just spun away by the hurricane of Terran that's coming his direction. Building 3 dropships it's pretty sick.
It's pretty wild. It's pretty out there, yeah. I mean, when you've got the tempo that much, though, you can get away with these kind of unorthodox plays to keep the pressure on and keep the gas pedal all the way down. And Rush looks pretty solid.
He's looking good, man. Holy.
I expected him to be solid, but yeah, this is pretty good.
What's going on a tear? Jaedong next.
Let's get it.
Jaedong, the next player up to the plate. Going to be taking on a Rush here. This map, Eclipse. Tough map for taking a 3rd as Zerg, taking a 4th as Zerg, I should say. 3rd is not too bad, but taking that 4th base can be hard. It's really the place where Hydralis Defiler came back into the meta. It's because of this map and the difficulties presented.
It basically was the only way you could trade cost efficiently with the Terran in that mid to late game phase, and as a result became super popular on other maps too. Neo Sylphid was a great map for it as well back then, and there was a few others that people started to realize, hang on a minute, I can kind of get away with this build on pretty much any map as long as I get to the stage where I need to be to execute it. It's not always easy to do that, you know, surviving the mid-game timing attacks of Terran is the hardest thing, as most of your games, pro gamers will even tell you they lose just A-move Marines because they're just that well-timed of attacks sometimes, and you just don't have the threshold of lurkers or sunkens, or the consume is just too slow and you just get bowled over.
Yeah, even if you have all of those things on time and the lurkers all get irradiated, you're not able to produce. Things can fall apart so quickly in so many different ways as the Zerg player. It really is a incredibly difficult matchup. I would argue the most difficult matchup, but I'm sure there's a lot of people who would disagree with me out in the comments.
I would agree with you, but it's more mechanically demanding for the Terran player in terms of SK control. But when you're playing the Defiler Hydra style, I would say that's even more mechanically demanding than SK Terran. I think maybe the Defiler Hydra style is the most mechanically demanding playstyle we have right now. It used to be Reaver Ser in Protoss versus Terran, in Protoss versus Zerg rather. That's not so much the case anymore. I think SK Terran has the 3rd place mantle now, and Defiler Hydra has the 1st place mantle of being the most mechanically demanding way of playing.
It's pretty overwhelming, but it can be so strong if done correctly. Almost loses this drone. He was on 5 HP. They're 1 shot away from death. If you lose that drone right before taking the 3rd, it is so painful. But he gets that down, and he actually took this while getting his gas, not before getting the gas. But this is a very fast 3rd base. 3 base into gas. He is going to have a pretty big macro engine behind him, but he will be very vulnerable to this first group of bio coming out. He'll have to make sunken colonies at multiple locations if he doesn't want to make a huge round of lings to stop this.
Yeah, but that's his plan. Because this ramp is so close to the hatchery at the third, you can get away with defending with sunkens there, unlike on, say, Radium when you're in the top left. It's just such a long distance, you're usually having to resort to lurkers. So there is a way of dealing. Oh, pretty good catch on this SCV. If you can somehow get rid of that, that's going to be huge. To free these lings up, to actually deal with this naked marine push will be vital. If this SCV can buy some precious seconds and making these lings chase them and not really identifying that this SCV is coming to build a bunker at this third, he's in trouble. He needs to get up here and stop this now, but I think Rush maybe just barely will get away with this.
I don't think so. I think that Jaedong, with that Overlord Scout, he's managed to pop out enough lings here. He should be able to just barely wipe this out in time. The bunker may finish, but this is a lot of lings being made. He should be able to run this over. There's the bunker. It's done. Lings are ready. Bunker gets loaded up. One SCV here. We've got about 12 lings ready to go. Secondary bunker on the way. He cannot allow that one to finish.
Yeah, that's definitely not a no-go to let that one finish. He can just run up here with 12 lings and bust. He's even going to try and body block a little bit on the ramp with that one single marine. Does get a good surround on that bunker. Not before this other bunker will just barely finish up as it's dying. So maybe, just maybe, he can get into the secondary bunker. Does get 2 marines in that. That's super annoying for Jaedong. He can still clear this, but forcing that many lings is still a big win for Rush here. It's not about killing the hatchery. It's about forcing as many lings to be produced as possible, so that it reduces the count of drones that can be made to optimize his economy. That's a pretty effective attack here from Rush. Not as effective as maybe he'd like it to, but it's definitely on the higher end of the spectrum.
Ooh, lot of lings being made here by Jaedong. He can't see this?
He can't see it.
No way. Barely out of range.
There's nothing blocking, though.
Oh my gosh.
There's no SCV blocking.
And there's one sunken colony coming up. There's no SCV blocking. He could actually get the win here. However, Marines are in that little corner. Can he actually get in and break this? SCVs will be pulled. I don't think he can get in through here. The Marines are breaking up onto that high ground, but one sunken colony should be able to deal with this, no problem, especially with one Marine walking back and forth. He won't die at home. Rush won't die, but Jaedong not going to take any damage either.
Yeah, if he had his stim ready, he would actually have broken that bunker, but he just doesn't have his stim finished up at that point in the game, unfortunately. I don't think so. No way of breaking that bunker. Like, naked stim Marines are so good at breaking bunkers because it doesn't matter about them being 2-shot still, because they're still on 30 HP, but unfortunately not able to break through the threshold damage. If he could somehow kill that hatchery, it'd probably be game ending, but now the game's a little bit more even with everything that's been said and done.
Just the one sunken so far. It looks like Jaedong wants to defend further aggression here with additional sunkens while going into his lair and lurker, getting up eventually in the hive and going into this Hydralisk Defiler play. I see a drone heading out right now. Is he really going to try and take a third somewhere out on the map right now, or is this just a bad rally?
Surely not. It's got to be a bad rally. I mean, there are some reasons you'd want to take a sneaky fourth here, especially if you're doing a crazy Zerg build. But I don't think he's playing crazy Zerg right now. I think he's just going to, try and produce a lot of mutas or 3 bases, put some pressure on, get some control over the game state, and then transition. So I doubt this is for a 4th hatchery.
A really fast factory this game from Rush. We're at 7 minutes, which is generally a good factory timing, but he's already got the starport almost finished.
Yeah.
3 barracks and a starport just finishing up now. This is going to be a crazy fast Valkyrie or Science Vessel, whichever one he decides to opt for.
But Valkyrie would be superior in this game state because of how late the tech of Jaedong is. He may be considering a 3-hatch all-in muta play. It is possible. That would hard counter him. He does have the Hydroden coming down, which would work well against Valkyries if that was the choice. So maybe these vessels will end up being superior given this current game state after all. I don't know if Rush is going to have much ability to push out onto the map. I'm a little bit worried for him because I feel like Mutaling can easily clear up this bio ball in a few moments here. I think this is a mistake from Rush to come out onto the map so soon.
He's invested so much into this early tech play. He does want to put on pressure and force some response out of Jaedong, but I do agree. This should be cleaned up pretty efficiently by Jaedong as long as he brings a few more Lings to the fore and has that full 11 Mutalisks to try and start sniping this. Okay, Rush is actually going to head back to his natural. I think that's the right call, and it looks like he'll make it back. I'm just waiting for this. Oh, wait. Is he going to go back now? Okay. Gotta keep that alive. He really doesn't have that many Marines right now.
With that early game that went on, I mean, both players are relatively slow in their techs, but it doesn't matter. Like, you need a strong count of infantry here to not worry about the air control of the Mutalisks, and he doesn't have that just yet. He's barely got the threshold of Marines needed. If he lost that Bible for free, he would have been a little bit of trouble with just 3 barracks worth of production. So it's great that he didn't lose that entire Bible. Now he can rejoin forces and buy some precious seconds to finish up that irradiate, squeeze out a vessel, and actually start to counter these Mutalisks. These vessels do kind of put these Mutalisks on a clock in terms of what value they can provide. So he wants to start hitting SCVs and turrets in the natural right about now.
Lot of turrets here in this natural. Seems like Jaedong doesn't really want to take that fight. He slips a Ling in and sees everything. Maybe it's time to just pop out another round of drones and get these hatcheries online. He's about 2 to 3 macro hatcheries to go along with this as he starts to make his lurkers and transitions to Defiler play. If he really does want to go Hydra's Defiler, you need that massive larva to spend all of your money. And there it is, another hatchery over here at this base. Night is going to be coming up here soon. As Rush pushes across the map, this transition is well underway for Jaedong.
I think Jaedong was worried about dying here. That's why he didn't even bother trying to trade with turrets or SCVs. He just wants the maximum strength of his army to deal with this push that's coming now. He needs to just survive for another minute or so for these extra macro hatcheries to come online and the tech to come online. He's got the 3 sunken and a couple of lurkers stacked there. He should be relatively safe against this, but with the irradiates available to Rush, that does become more problematic now. You can actually break through that stack of lurkers a little bit, and the transition for Jaedong's not currently finished up. He's still waiting to get like his Defiler Mound finished, his Evo Chambers to start researching upgrades. There's a little bit of time here before Jaedong starts to come fully on. Needs to be careful. There's Vessel though. Beautiful snipe with those Marines prevents catastrophic failure. Irradiate going down on the Mutalisk. I'm not sure that was the best choice there from Rush, trying to bait those Mutas when they weren't even stacked with an Irradiate. Probably smarter just to go for the Lurker stack, but I trust his judgment.
Time for a double expansion for Rush. He's not going to break through here, spending irradiates on mutas, and everything's been stacked and set up perfectly for Jaedong. Grabbing a CC over there at the top center, and possibly even a second CC is probably going to be the right choice. Start to build factories, and in fact, he will drop that factory down onto the ground, probably get a add-on and start building tanks. Building vultures and mines as well can be a good choice here as a transition into those tanks, but eventually we're going to see tanks here out of Rush, and 2-3 factories worth of tanks start to fill the middle of the map. That can be really hard to break through with Hydra Defiler.
Absolutely, and Jaedong's got quite a lot of macro hatcheries coming out online. The supplies are almost even as well. I'm a little bit concerned from Rush that he hasn't really done enough damage or hindrance to Jaedong in these early mid-game phases to hamper him enough where he's going to be able to explode in supply really quickly soon, and I don't know if Rush is going to be able to do much about it. He's still got a whole stack of mutas as well, so if he starts wasting his irradiates on lurkers now, maybe he will not be able to deal with that Mutalisk threat either. The Mutas could catch some bio units in rally, for example, like stopping him from being able to reinforce this force right now is going to be really crazy for Rush. They're actually going to swing round to the natural third. Maybe get a cancel on this CC would be huge for Jaedong.
Ooh, I think he's going to do that. Actually, in the meantime, Rush sent in an eraser trick. Yeah, he did an eraser trick here. Got 9 kills on one of these vessels. A lot of damage there in the natural, but that can easily be replenished by Jaedong. He has so much larva to work with, and he's not under any threat right now, so he could just start delaying this, eat a bunch of these irradiates with his mutas. Yeah, pull those ones that have been irradiated out. That's so many irradiates that's just kind of getting thrown away here.
Yeah,
these mutas aren't really valuable anymore, so just allowing them to soak up irradiates is going to be fine. Jaedong replenishes that drone count, and now he's really going to get underway with these Hydras.
Yeah, very rarely you can sometimes use those irradiated Mutalisks to kill the stack of SCVs that are in the mineral line. It's very rare that that transpires, but sometimes you can use that as a double-edged sword to kind of cut through the meat of the SCV's HP and help clear clear that line faster. But in a situation like that, it's just too many forces for Rush to really do anything. And so far, the game looks a little bit more standardized as time progresses, but still a little bit worried for Rush. I mean, he's not really in that commanding of a position here and has been a little bit on the back foot. He's finally starting to lay siege to Jaedong when Jaedong's already got Defilers out, lots of macro hatcheries. Needs to stop losing these vessels like that. The healthy count of vessels is one of the only thing that will keep him in this game for the time being. He's starting to make the tank count transition now. We've got at least 2 factories churning out those tanks. You need about 2 or 3 of those, and that will help you weather the storm against the Zerg's onslaught soon. You need to be able to kill things under Dark Swarm, and siege tanks are great at killing Hydras and other units underneath Dark Swarm.
Oh boy, here comes the first Defiler with Plague. Can he get a great one here on all of these Marines? Kind of whiffs it, but he will be able to push everything back. He's definitely got the forces to do so. Rush cannot stand here and fight with a bunch of Plague Marines. They will die immediately.
Yeah.
And Jaedong will overwhelm that position. He's got 1-1 finish now. He's starting to push out on the map. He's ready to try and take a 4th. Rush has his 4th going down in the bottom right already. Will Jaedong find that and shut it down? I want to quickly mention as well, Rush, I really hope that Jaedong has the burrow upgrade. He invested into that because Rush can keep doing that over and over again, and he's taken some small advantage just by doing that one eraser trick. Dark Swarm here in the natural on top of the factories. Now this is a big move from Jaedong.
Yeah, there's a big back line of tanks to the north, though. He should be able to hold on to this threshold towards this 3rd natural here, and keeping this 4th alive so far. Rush has kind of gotten away with murder. I think Jaedong might scout it soon, but I don't know, like, this is kind of crazy. If Rush gets away with this 4th base, there's a way he can finally win this game, but if without it, he's kind of dead in the water. So it's kind of like a hopeful game for Rush right now. He just needs to not let this get scouted and dealt with in a few moments. Maybe he can somehow churn out enough units to deal with Jaedong. But right now, it's seeming like that might not be the case. It's currently almost even on supply, and Jaedong can really start to put the pressure on him soon. There's so many hatcheries, so much lava available to Jaedong, and now that he's on the offensive, his game state becomes much more simplified. Defilers are weak out in the open, but with Hydra support as well as Lurkers, they become much more potent.
Ooh, not turning around with the Hydras to defend this Defiler, but the Defiler is close enough. He can get a Dark Swarm up here on the high ground and break through all of this. Yeah, these Lurkers are going to come forward and break this base. Meanwhile, Rush going for some counter pressure. Going to try to attack into this 3rd base. Are we going to have another eraser trick? I really hope that Jaedong has invested in that critical upgrade burrow. So important in situations like this.
Yeah.
He breaks this base, pushing back Rush. Uh-oh, Rush is starting to fall apart a little bit, losing a lot of SCVs down this bottom right.
This is kind of wild. I think he's going to get that CC as well. He needed that 4th base. Without it, I kind of think he's like done for here. He can take this natural 4th to the top center of the base, the top center of the map slightly, but I don't know if that's going to be enough for him. It's a little bit late now. Jaedong's already exploding in supply, 150 to 150, so almost dead even, and that definitely favors the Zerg in this position, especially with the spells available to them. There is a D-Matrix going down on one of those tanks, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Jaedong's going to start clearing some of these tanks, and reducing the tank count is absolutely critical for Jaedong right now. The only way the Terran's really going to win this game is if they can somehow build up a count of like 20 tanks to then leverage against the Zerg in one location, and that's not going to be the case if Jaedong keeps killing them like this.
Yeah, he killed a bunch of tanks there. The trade went a little bit sour near the end of that fight, but still, it's working out really well for Jaedong. He's actually ahead in supply now. He's got so much here at his rally. Look at how many forces are popping out here. He's got tons of money behind this as well. His 4th base is really getting online. These vessels are going to come forward and start to fight, but just one Dark Swarm will push everything back, and Hydras are starting to stand and just fight. A bunch of Firebats coming forward. Does he really think he's that far ahead that he could just start spamming Firebats and pushing through the Dark Swarm? I don't think Jaedong agrees. He's just going to overwhelm these forces.
Yeah, Jaedong definitely doesn't agree with that at all. I think Rush is kind of desperate right now. He's also getting attacked at his natural 4th. D-Matrix goes down this Firebat to try and soak some of this force. Maybe, just maybe, he can break through. If he kills the Nidus, that would be huge, but he's got 2 tanks, and they're currently busy trying to shell down these these Hydralisks, he can't get a target fire on that Nidus critically, and his units are getting gobbled up right now. He does weather the storm at that natural 4th location, but now the Mutalisks are starting to gun down some of his low HP vessels. Hydra supporting that as well, so he's going to lose at least 2 of the 3 of these vessels here. That's kind of critical. Big picks for Jaedong. He's actually behind in supply by about 10, but they're still very Zerg favorite right now. He's even getting a 5th base online during all this.
5th base over at the center left, and Rush still hasn't sent SCVs over there to top center. Or this 4th base, yeah, he's just sending them up there now. Having a hard time getting that extra gas online. You really need it if you want to make this many tanks and vessels all at the same time. Rush pushing down here towards this 4th base again. Ooh, he gets the Defiler just in the nick of time. There's enough Hydras to clear this, though, and so it will go down. But this position is looking really scary. Can Jaedong hold on to his Nidus? The target on the Nidus is huge. In range of the low ground here. A mistake there from Jaedong not putting that farther back. Can he surround this army and take it out before it breaks through? No, he cannot. He will lose this base. That's a massive swing for Rush.
Yeah, that's a great tank position to get his units into, though. Jaedong now smells blood in the water, tries to counterattack this 4th base. He knows if he can somehow get into these positions and do a lot of damage to Rush, it won't matter too much that he's just lost that 4th base and can instead rely on this new 5th base he's just seized. Maybe, just maybe, Jaedong can still maintain the lead, although the supplies have kind of, created a bit more of a canyon here. It's 100 to 136, so Rush is in a better position, but losing that command center is kind of critical. He needs that additional gas right now. He will eventually dry up. He's doing okay for gas at the present moment, but the minerals are starting to dry up. He can't quite fire on all cylinders as he needs to. He's trying to break into the rally point of Jaedong. Sometimes you can overwhelm the Zerg in these locations, but with how many units Jaedong's got to muster at all of these flanks, he's just going to plague the Terran into oblivion. I don't think Rush is going to ever be able to get a foothold on in these locations again. I think he kind of has to just sit back and try and take another base. I don't think that's even going to be successful at this point. I think Jaedong's got too many tools available to him.
Floating out the main over here to the 4th. There's quite a few tanks on this high ground. That's a scary position to try and bust through, and these Irradiates are getting some very good value. Plague does not go down on that big group of Marines and vessels. If he had gotten the Plague on that group, I think Jaedong could have easily pushed through. However, without the Plague, that army is looking incredibly strong. Rush shoving closer and closer towards this rally point. That's when it becomes really scary. Once your rallies just start to get eaten up by tank fire, it gets very difficult to break anything, and Rush is eking closer and closer, inching little by little towards that very critical rally point.
It's very similar into PvZ. You just want to get him a wedge between the rallies of the Zerg and deal with their units in small numbers and not allowing them to set up big flanks and hit you with a critical mass all at once. This will make it much more cost efficient for trade as Rush getting into this pocket now. Jaedong, though, has another base going on in the top left, so even though he lost that base in the bottom right, he's still going to be trying to explode back up to another base in the top left. Maybe, just maybe, he can still make this work. Beautiful play coming down onto all of that. There's a lot of chili sauce on covering most of that kebab meat there, making those Terranians even more tasty to gobble up later. He is breaking through in the natural, though, is Rush. And there's a D-Matrix on one of these Marines to kind of buffer a little bit. He might just barely be able to break through, kill this Sniper, cause a lot of problems, but Jaedong's rallying a lot of units down from this natural 4th to kind of clean up everything right now. I think Rush is going to lose almost his entire army.
Ooh, he's just barely breaking through and killing a lot of drones, but the army coming up from behind is actually going to clean most of this. And Rush, does he have a follow-up army? I don't see it. He's losing so many vessels. Running forward and targeting down some of these is going to be huge. Scourge coming forward to kill 1 apiece. And so most of the vessels are now gone. Rush can't defenses back at home, but Jaedong's going to be licking his wound for a moment here. After losing so many drones, he does need to resupply some of that, dropping down to 82 supply. He's at a critical level where actually he's almost dead. Like 60 supply is bare minimum really to survive as the Terran or as the Zerg player. Yeah. If he drops any further here, he is going to be in a very bad way.
Yeah, he's got just barely enough threshold of supply to keep launching small assaults, utilizing Dark Swarms. If though somehow Rush can shut down this base, this will be huge. Rush is doing a great job right now of rotating around to this top top left corner of the map. If he can pick off this hatchery, it's going to be great. He will probably get this hatchery. Jaedong now maybe in a little bit of trouble. He has to re-expand to the bottom right corner of the map. Rush is in a good position to defend this northern area with just tanks alone. I don't think Jaedong's got enough critical mass of units to just break through and deal with this force up here. He might be having to expand to the bottom right now instead.
Oh boy, the gases are really starting to run out for Jaedong. His main, natural, and third should be just about empty at this point, 23 minutes in. He's suffering from a lack of gas. He's got nothing mining at the natural, his third and fourth. Really only his only areas of income. 95 supplies, all he's been able to muster. He crushed that attack from Rush over at his natural, slammed through it, but lost so much in the process, he might not be viable any longer. As the Hydraless Defiler player, he's shoving forward again, killing off some of these vessels, but Rush making the correct sacrifices, sending forward the vessels, just letting them die in order to get rid of these very important defilers as they push forward. Wait, one defiler gets close enough, and the tanks are all going to go down. Maybe he can push forward a little bit further. Does he have the defiler? I think the defiler might have been sniped. No, there it is. Can he get up on this high ground and actually break one of these bases?
I mean, this is crazy. It's a little bit of a mistake from Jaedong, but he has to do something. He will be dealt with by Rush here, but it was a nice valiant effort from him to try and sandbag by some time. It looks like Rush should be okay, but I mean, Jaedong did kill a few tanks. He has still got some units available to him to keep launching assaults. He's driving a wedge between the rally point and the natural fourth of Rush right now, though Rush does have some good pockets of tanks to defend his location. Finally, he's launching onto the third location, which has a few tanks there, not that much bio, but a single bunker will probably save the day without Dark Swarm support. Jaedong's now in full desperation mode, trying to get any trades. I don't think he's going to get it. I think he might be tapping out of this game soon, since he's not trying to take a base in the bottom right.
Trying to run forward here with a couple more lurkers, a couple more lings, and a defiler. He is going to get a Dark Swarm very close to the Terran base, but I don't know if he's going to be able to follow this up with anything. Only a few lings and hydras coming out on the map, and Rush is going to go and counterattack. He certainly can't hold on defensively, and eventually there's going to be enough irradiates to just kill absolutely everything with just pure irradiate. There we go. Few kills on these vessels, but 5? I don't think he has 5 lurkers, Shun.
No, it's really low levels of units for Jaedong. There's actually quite a lot of drones, so the supplies are also a little bit deceptive here. He has quite a high drone count, considering he's not got that many mining bases, especially with that third now being mined out just a moment ago. He's going to really struggle to refill, but because he's not been expanding and he's been just pure unit production, he has just barely broken through the threshold of tanks Rush has got, but now the counterattack finally comes online for Rush, and the last mining base of Jaedong will be shut down. I don't know if he's got enough gas in the tank to make this work. He has limited some of the income for Rush here, but maybe not enough. The natural third's still mining for Rush at this time being.
Yeah, he is going to throw down one Dark Swarm. Maybe if he had a Plague there that hits every unit in this attack, he could start to clear up, but as it stands, Rush can just maneuver around this Dark Swarm, get into a pocket that Jaedong can't easily clear, and make this a nightmare. He is going to pick off this base, and GG is called. Jaedong taps out. Rush on an absolute tear. Only a couple games away from an all kill.
Yeah.
It's the clapper from KCM. Well deserved, man. Rush is on another level today.
Yeah, he's playing really good, man. Let's get it.
Killing. Just chilling,
It's
killing.
a great comeback.
Things were looking a little scary for Rush in that last game, but he pulled himself together, got the tanks out, handled those bases, and broke that bottom right. Critically able to break that bottom right, made things very scrappy. Jaedong wasn't quite able to hang. Really enjoyed that one, though, Shun.
Yeah.
That was a great Jaedong game.
Yeah, he actually played really well, did Jaedong, in that game. Rush was just too good, though. That guy is just firing on all cylinders, playing out of his mind right now. I can't even imagine how you can play this game this good for this long against this many different pro gamers in a row. Like, it's not like he's just playing 1 or 2 games. He's beaten 3 pro gamers in a row, onto his 4th. Tyson's not the strongest opponents for him as well. He may even be able to dismantle Tyson here, who's sending out a fairly fast probe scout. Maybe he can get a lucky 50-50, he's thinking, and get a gas steal. I don't think he's actually going to get in there in time with this probe, actually. I think Rush can still make the gas, so it's a little bit of a weird probe scout, honestly. If he's gambling for finding Rush first, he should send this probe maybe a tiny bit earlier to potentially get a gas steal.
It looks like he's just going to utilize this probe to harass slightly on the SCV. Gas still hasn't been taken, so actually Rush not even wanting to take his own gas. He's going to let that rest for now. And it's kind of surprising me. I've actually seen Rush do this a couple of times, building the barracks on low ground on Dominator in order to do a gasless fast expand.
Right.
Generally, Terran players will throw this on the high ground, but Rush seems to have a different idea.
Well, there are a lot of Protoss players that make that gateway a little bit further forward, like Mini, and just try and put on a little bit of extra pressure early on with the Zealot Goon timing. I mean, you kind of want to ward against that a little bit with this style. It does make you really weak to something like a 10-12 all-in 2-gate Goon, but it's just no Protoss players are playing like that anymore. So the one thing this is weak to doesn't really get utilized anymore. So it's actually kind of a safe, smart play from Rush. Does finally see that Zealot needs to run all the way back to the safety of this depot so we can run in and out of this hole. Has a few SCVs to body block, actually. That's going to be kind of nice for him. Although it is lost mining time, but he needs to protect this SCV building the CC critically.
Yeah, this is the problem with the build, is you don't have the SimCity right there to help you defend against the Zealot. He's done a great job, though, bringing up these extra SCVs to assist with that body blocking. He will get the bunker down, and a pylon is being built outside here. There's only one reason to build a pylon on that high ground, and it's for a robo. It's spotted Rush with a beautiful scout there, finding exactly what's coming. He can bunker push this now.
Yeah, seems like the robo push is going out of style. We've been seeing more and more of the gateway variant being used, maybe because it was scouted as well. You have to factor that in. Gateways do provide you earlier play than the robo, so now that it's scouted, oh, going to be DT play. That's a very fast DT. We're talking like 5-minute 10, the DTs are popping out, so kind of crazy. But Rush knows that. He's putting a lot of pressure onto this proxy right now, getting a bunker set up here and just gunning that down. He has a Zealot that might be trying to attempt to run by because all the Marines are currently indisposed dealing with this proxy. The gateway gets cancelled while the Zealot tries to get into the main base here to put on some pressure.
Good handling of this aggression. Rush back at home, gonna get rid of this Zealot and has the bunker to ward away that Dragoon. Still, the threat of the DTs is real. If Rush doesn't have the proper detection here, he could lose a lot. It's just so much damage.
No,
what do we?
No. What did we just watch? I mean, this was like Tyson. This was like the Tyson versus Paul fight. What are we watching right now?
Oh boy. Well, we're watching a man go from a well thought out plan here to absolute desperation in a matter of seconds. He's now throwing down a robo, which is quite late, to try and get a DT drop off after all these failed attacks and the failed proxy, and now an SCV running in. Are you kidding me?
Oh, no.
Oh, my gosh. Can he block this? He will just barely block it. Oh, my gosh. Was that close?
That's crazy. I mean, maybe there's just hope for him now, but the only way to be super safe against what he's doing is to like make like quite a few turrets and backup turrets in the natural. But Tyson knows that. He's going to be doing the drop variant of this. So you can sometimes just throw down like 2 turrets in your natural, one in the front, one back a bit to kind of, so when they dive onto the first turret, it doesn't matter. But here we're going to be seeing a DT drop straight into the main base of Rush. And I think Rush is starting to sniff out that something is amiss here. That's why you see such an early pressure. He finally sees this Dark Templar. So now he's got full confirmation. Maybe it can shave off another of these Marines to make the game state a little bit more playable for Tyson when he eventually does drop these into the natural. He might not have calculated that the shuttle variant is going to be what's coming next. If he does get a shuttle of DTs into the main base, that could be a little bit nightmarish for Rush.
Here comes that shuttle now. Be looking for that damage. I imagine we'll see a very quick third out of Tyson to try and make up this deficit. With the DTs out on the map, it's very hard for Rush to push until he gets really consistent detection with some comsats coming online, and then the transition into Arbiter as well is probably going to follow up that third base. Let's see how much damage these DTs can do. It's really contingent, this follow-up, on whether or not he can force back Rush and not lose these DTs and maybe get a little bit of damage as well.
Yeah, Tyson might be figuring out that he needs to land his DTs right behind the mineral line, and I think he's figured that out. He's going to try and just snipe off a few of these buildings that are just outside of the turret range. Needs to be careful with that shuttle, though. Dangerously low on HP. He can kill one depot for his trouble, but it's not really the compensation you're looking for here as Tyson. He can also sandbag the Terran pushes with these DTs later after scooping them up, but it's not the kind of value he was looking for at all. It's a playable game state. He can go into 2-base Arbiter from here. It's just not the most comfortable of game states going forward as Tyson. He hasn't found the damage he was looking for. He's not quite ahead of the curve as he should be.
I'm surprised to see Tyson go 2-base Arbiter here. I thought that he would take a third while just sandbagging with the DTs. That's how we've seen a lot of players, Protoss players at the highest level, do this build, the DT drop build. You've got to get your economy really online with this.
He hasn't got any way of blocking the Vulture raids at a third base because there's double ramps. So he's worried about just taking an early third and then getting harassed into oblivion by speed vultures. He doesn't want to dump 600 minerals into nothing but pylon walls right now. So he's kind of doing a more tech heavy variant of this gameplay. I kind of agree with him. It's hard to stop vulture harass on your natural third location in this situation.
Yeah, you don't have to reverse the tool. I guess that's correct. But now he's going to be very low economy, trying to defend against Terran push out coming out already. He tries to bait that mine in. Does a little damage to the tanks here, but it's not going to amount to much. And now Rush is pushing across. He needs to sandbag this. He needs to put some vultures in the way of this to eat up a few of the scans and then wipe this army out with the Arbiter. The cloak is going to be very key. He cannot allow a bunch of turrets to come up here. With that consistent detection, Rush will be able to hold, and clearing this will be really difficult.
Yeah, he's got a DT coming in the back. There's only 2 comsats available to him, so if somehow he can keep scooping up the DTs after the scan goes down, that's optimal. But at the moment, he got a tank with the DT. That's pretty good. Fighting from high ground transition is also not too bad, but he can't get in range of these tanks with these Dragoons. And finally, Rush is pushing up onto this pizza slice from the southern threshold. He will contain Tyson at this rate if he doesn't start to trade these tanks right here, right now. He knows he desperately has to start trading off these tanks. He's not able to do so. There's just too few units in his arsenal to bat away Rush's attempts and getting up here.
Well, I was completely wrong about this. I thought that what Tyson needed to do was sandbag the push with the DTs and get a third base online, but he didn't do either. He didn't sandbag the push, and he didn't get that third base online, and he's not even going to be able to stop this, even with all these gateways coming up and the Arbiter on the way. Nothing will stop Rush pushing into this natural and just finishing him off. He's got the pylon wall to work with right now. He's killed so many Dragoons. Everything's going to try to push forward, but even with only 5 tanks here, he's going to be able to kill absolutely everything. This is the best trade I've ever seen in my entire life, Shun. Just absolutely destroyed.
I mean, he kind of crushed him. Yeah, he has to tap out here. He's 20 supply ahead. There's no way you can ever macro your way out of that situation. Really stellar stuff from Rush. He's on a 4-kill streak. He just needs to take out Hero in the next game for that all-kill prize. And the only guy waiting in the wings after that would be Shuttle. I mean, Rush has got to be feeling like a real killer at this point.
통해서도 보셨습니다만 프로들은 그 몇 초 차이예요. 진짜인가요? 8배럭인가요?
Okay.
전형으로 이 요소가 굉장히 심합니다. 임진목에서 이번 주 일요일에 영상 20도 넘어간대요. 그러니까요. 미친. 제가
No one can deny that Rush is on an insane streak right now, but in his even in his most insane streak, can he take down Hero? Hero is godlike in this matchup.
Yeah.
And he has been on an absolute tear himself recently. This is his biggest hurdle so far. Will Rush get that all-kill prize? 600,000 won is in his grasp, within his grasp. He just needs to reach out and take it.
Yeah, he has that momentum to rush forward, pun intended, and grab that. But can he do it? There's a hero to save the day right now, and this guy plays like a madman. It's going to be an 8 racks, okay. I mean, Hero is really stellar in his early game defense, so I doubt this will be game ending, whatever does happen, but it might be enough to cripple Hero and slow him down going into that mid-game phase and making Rush's win conditions just a little bit more simplified. We'll have to see exactly what Hero wants to do in this game. It looks like he's just going to be throwing down a normal 12 hatch, but it could still be a 12 pull or 11 pull from this position. You don't know for sure. Hero's not that kind of guy, though. You'd see someone like Queen maybe occasionally throw down that 12 pull style, but someone like Hero, he's going to be either pull firsting to be safe or just taking that 12 hatch like we see here.
Uh-oh. Hope that Hero can pull off a good drone defense. It's going to be under some serious pressure from Hero early on, or from Rush early on.
Yeah.
I'm a bit worried. I gotta say, Shun.
Well,
A bit worried that Rush takes this one home, and we're gonna have a very quick series if Shuttle is our final player. I think we might see a double all kill.
he's scouting in the right direction with these drones. He's hiding the Marine, so it buys him a little bit of reaction time in his favor there. Not scouting the Marine right away could be good if you were going for a 2.5 hatch and you didn't make your pull quickly enough. Also, they throw down their gas and then have to cancel it again and wasting some minerals. It's always nice to try and hide the 8 racks for as long as possible. Does start to pull off the prerequisite amount of drones. You need anywhere from 5 to 9. It depends on what the game state is, how far the Terran is out on the map. We see about 7 drones pulled, with 1 still coming from behind. That's a total of 8. That's a pretty healthy number here, but 2 SCVs body blocking. It is still pretty tricky for the Zerg to wrap around and get on top of those Marines.
Rush had a pretty good idea there. He wanted to catch that drone that was coming back from the front lines. The scouting drone almost got caught there, but Hero managed to maneuver that around. Now he's going to surround these, completely surrounding this. This is perfect play from Hero. Oh my goodness, he shuts this down so hard.
Yeah, he does manage to get 3 drone kills to kind of even out the curve a little bit here for Rush. So it's not totally over. He does still have a playable game state, but this is almost as cost efficient as you can get for the Zerg. He's even leaving the bunker there. I don't know if he's like trying to fake out a Hero a little bit and make him think that there's some additional Marines coming to still support this. He has got the SCV coming over here to finish, seemingly to finish this, but I think this is all just obviously a bluff to try and maybe make Hero make an extra pair of Lings or something early on. But now that Hero's only made this 1 pair of Lings, this naked Marine push might actually do something. There's no sunken here. He has to make 2 pairs of Lings total to not just lose drones, and he hasn't got that. He's only got these 1 pair of Lings right now.
Ooh, that could be scary. Well, I think that a bunch of Lings just made their way down.
Okay.
He has 6 Lings total. He is going to be completely fine. He's got 400 minerals in the bank right now. Has a big glut of resources because of all the drones he made. He did exactly what you're supposed to do. If you're going to clear the 8 racks with drones, make all drones. If you're going to clear it with Lings,
Yeah.
you have to make Lings and then switch into drones afterwards. But he just cleared it, made all drones. He's got a big supply of workers now. He made the absolute bare minimum number of links to actually stop this Naked Marine push, and his position is looking absolutely fantastic. 2.5 hatch follow-up. The Hero is going to be a force to be reckoned with.
This is why we rate Hero so highly, because he navigates these early game shenanigans with such poise and great calculations. He's like handled that probably about as optimized as he could have. If you do allow the bunker to get up, for example, you kind of are relegated to either double sunken it or like go like 12 links around, and neither of those things are optimal at all. So catching it with the drones like that, able to just macro up, makes him feel much more comfortable going into this game state. Both players will have their respective techs reduced by about a minute or so the Spire timing will be at least a minute late, the Academy timing and factory timings will be at least a minute late relative to what they would usually be. So that's why you see the Spire coming down closer to 5 minutes rather than 4. But that's kind of just the nature of the 8-rack build. It does slow both players down.
Yeah, everything's been slowed, but Rush is still trying to put out this early pressure with Naked Marines. Playing with fire right now. If Hero has link speed finishing up and ends up making a few extra pairs of lings, he could totally wipe this out and put Rush in a horrible position. There's the link speed. Couple of medics on their way. He's ready to start this push across the map, but as he scans, he should see the natural. No, he didn't scan the natural. He scanned the main. If he scans the natural, he'll see 2 sunken colonies finished already, and there's really no point in pushing across the map with this.
Yeah, he's morphing those a little bit delayed just to be more optimized. Has a few speedlings just harassing the front there, but a fireback blocking will not allow anything to transpire. He does need to pull these lings back to support the sunkens, because there'll only be 2 sunkens finishes when this hits the third one. So he needs to kind of like buy a few precious seconds with these lings running around the bio and also joining the fight when they do try and bust, if they do manage to do that. But it looks like with a little bit of a buying of time, he won't be able to get in there and break that third sunken just before it came online, unfortunately. You can Rick gamble and try and just go for that anyway as Rush, but you're kind of throwing the game away if it's not successful. So very rarely you'll see Terran players go for that unless they've got full scouting information and know exactly what the game state is, because a few extra round of lings or something would just spell disaster for you.
Absolutely. Mutas have been slowed down a little bit by that push out and the forced 3 sunken colonies. But now bringing together a good chunk of Mutas here. And he will start to harass this bio ball. Control so far from Hero looking good. Rotating around this and forcing out the first couple of stims, coming in and sniping off at some Marines whenever possible. But he's coming from such a position of strength. He doesn't need to rush this at all. He just needs to play this out as calmly as possible and get into this third base. He's going to have a great macro position.
Yeah, you see that factory coming down about 7 minutes 40. It's about on time. It's a minute delayed than it should usually be, but he did 8 racks, so it makes sense. So the timings are still okay for Rush here. Tries to box these Mutalisks. Does manage to snipe one. Pretty good army control from him there, shaving off a little bit of this air superiority away. It will make him not have to worry too much about making more and more turrets and allow him to just pump out as many units as possible and go full steam ahead. Hero's going to be trying to wrap around and dog this bioforce. Only 3 medics is not as threatening as it could be. 4 medics would be a lot more scary. With 3, you can kind of force stims here and really drain the bank of energy that's available to Rush, that he won't have enough remaining to break through the sunken line as well as deal with the Mutalisks in the air. So this makes Hero feel a lot more comfortable now.
I'm looking at this game. I think Hero feels extremely comfortable.
Yeah.
He has a great supply of mutas. He's going to have that +1 soon, assuming that he went for a +1 attack. He's got a bunch of lings out here. He could wipe this force out kind of at will until it combines forces with this secondary group. So as that comes up, now that the bioforces are together, I don't think he can actually fight that. It will swing into Rush's favor with those extra forces coming up. So He's actually just going to rotate around this, look for an opportunity to run by into the natural. But he's getting Hydras down to the bottom right well in time to block any attack from Rush. He's going to have Lurkers on high ground ready. He won't even need to actually block the ramp with those eggs at all.
Yeah, this is just a little bit of a mind game from Hero to make him worried about a run by into the natural due to no bunker support, because then like Hero has, Rush has to be a bit more cautious about that, and it buys precious seconds for these Lurkers to actually hatch out and get into position to defend these critical locations in the natural and bottom right. So this is a great play from Hero to kind of make it so it's impossible for Rush to really come down here and punish Hero. He's going to have to go into a bit more of a later mid-game phase and wait for Vessels to come out before really putting any pressure onto the Zerg player here. I'm not sure he's in a strong enough curve to fight Hero. He has got a pretty large force of bio that's here. He hasn't been able to do a cleanup on L5 like Solky would with these Mutaling. Instead, he's going to wrap around to this rally point again and see if he can threaten the smaller force that's to the north there if it tries to come out and reinforce. So does still have a little bit of play out on the map, but needs to be careful. Rush still has a pretty big army.
Rush is not going to be able to easily take a third base and put on a lot of pressure here, as he did in some of his past TVZs. He's instead gonna make double drop ship and try to gamble. Let's see if he can get in and deal some damage to Hero, because he really needs to throw off this Zerg menace. This guy is getting into his game a little bit too swiftly, a little bit too cleanly. And if he allows him to just sit here and macro up, Rush will become absolutely unstoppable.
He's got these 4 Scourge at the 6 o'clock location, but he hasn't identified these dropships. These Marines have done a great job of clearing a safe flight path. He's on trajectory to the bottom right. Nidus is just finishing up as this drop comes in. If Hero doesn't react in time, he might just be dead. Some Lurkers coming through the Nidus. He does scan, splits his Marines pretty beautifully. He will be able to kill both of these Lurkers and kill so many drones and the Nidus. That might be the game-winning move for Rush. That's absolutely insane that he was able to thread the needle and avoid all those overlords while clearing out a nice little safe flight path for him with that Bioforce. Has those dropships still alive despite the Scourge to come and put more and more pressure onto Hero while he's cleaning this up. He does seem to manage to save this hatchery. Go on.
No, he's gonna go into the main as well, dude. Shun, this is so brutal. As everything gets cleaned up, he sent all of his Scourge down to bottom right. There's nothing here to stop. Rush gets right into the main. The big gamble pays off in a massive way. Oh, this is like putting, everything on, on black and just winning all your money. Like, it's crazy how much damage he's done. I don't know anything about gambling, if you can't tell.
Yeah, this is kind of wild. He's just going all in over and over again in no limit holding, hoping for the best, and somehow he's getting better hold cards. So far, so good. Hero's on a little bit full tilt right now. Has got some Marines to protect these dropships. If he can get out with these dropships, that will be huge to be able to keep using them later on. He does not able to snipe down some of these Scourge, though, so eventually he will not only clean up these drops, but will eventually maybe catch these dropships with those Scourge on the escape vector. I mean, Hero's just barely hanging on in this game. He's got another Nidus canal set up, but these drones dying in the bottom right is almost critical damage. He needs every drop of gas that he can squeeze. No, not the Lurker too. Rush, you're an absolute madman. It looks like watching one of Boxer's games from back in the day, doing so much with so little. And he's going to be maybe sniping this Nidus. No way. He gets the drone and the Nidus again. Are you kidding me, Rush? Are you kidding me?
He's just done so much damage. Hero is just about out of this one. Even though he has the hatchery still alive, he's lost so many drones in the main and the third. He's been thrown off massively. This is complete panic mode for Hero. He is trying to deal with so many different fires around the map, and Rush is now in his comfort zone. He is pushing in, getting a bunch of irradiates down. He doesn't need to do anything fancy. Just come down here, toss a couple of irradiates out, and stem up onto this high ground, and you should be able to break the base before any sort of extra Nidus comes out in this bottom right.
This is kind of wild, seeing Rush play absolutely out of his mind like this today. It's kind of been a bit of a treat to see. I mean, I knew he'd be playing solid today, but this is kind of ridiculous. Now going to be just running by into the bottom right before additional forces can get down here to defend. GG finally called from Hero. That's going to be an all-kill prize for the Terran squad. Just Shuttle waiting in the wings to try and shut down this absolute legend who's on his warpath to secure 2 points for his team right now.
자, 이제는 더가웃을 시작합니다.
The pattern has been broken.
Damn.
Zerg no longer in second place.
Yep.
They got second place like literally every week until now.
They'll probably find a way of crying. It's because I talked up Hero a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, because you give any any bias towards a Zerg player, and they're like, even though Terran's smashing it.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait to hear what Fanged Cow has to say about this. You know that guy, right?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Oh my gosh. The absolute tirades.
The keyboard
in the comments,
warrior.
man.
Yeah. Oh god.
Holy.
It's kind of funny.
Snow versus Rush. I did an SDS with Snow. He like 4-0'd Rush.
Yeah.
And dude made 3 comments, bro. And then he commented on a bunch of other people's comments too. Like, why 3? Like 3 fucking comments? Really?
Yeah, he's a real keyboard warrior, that guy.
Shit. Wild.
It is what it is.
Yeah. All complaining about how Terran is bad. The weakest race, yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, tell it to Flash, man.
We got your point, all right? You don't need to make 3 comments.
Yeah.
Thank you for helping me with the algorithm, but okay. Unnecessary. All right.
Let's get it.
괜찮다고 봤는데 이게 뭐 꺾어줄게 막아줄게 이렇게 입 털고 잘하는 사람이 사실 많이 없거든요.
Well, I think that Rush is absolutely unstoppable. What can Shuttle do against such evil?
I mean,
how can this man stand?
He's got to be thinking that this is his time to shine. Like, he's been clowned on for long enough. Maybe if he can somehow pull out this game, this is going to be like, he can actually start to be the guy talking shit more for the change. You know what I mean? Like, if he somehow manages to pull out the win, he's going to be the hero of the day.
Oh, absolutely. I don't think he'll be able to take out Sock and Light after that, but
no.
Just this one win would completely vindicate this guy after taking so much shit from the Starcraft community.
Yeah.
All of his peers have been clowning on him for such a long time. Even the English casters, man, those guys, they're ripping into this guy. So he wants to show everybody, prove everybody wrong.
What's so funny about Shadow is he'll like perform really badly in like the Daily Pro League or something, and then make a dumb mistake, and he'll come back into the voice chat like, sorry guys, like he's really depressed, and then they go, it's okay, Shadow, it's okay, and then he goes, yeah, and he's like immediately back to being his like usual hyper energetic self as soon as they say, it's okay, Shadow.
It's hilarious if you guys haven't seen it. The Jin videos of Pro League,
so
translation
funny.
videos, Jin 5000, where all of the other pro players are lamenting the fact that they have Shuttle on their team, and watching him fail over and over and over again. But somehow he always makes it into ASL. Make that make sense.
Yeah, well, this is what Shuttle was saying in one of the most recent Jin videos, was that like offline and online, different story. I mean, Shuttle actually used to be able to hang with Flash back in the day in offline tournaments. That's not a small feat. So yeah, like he's got a bit of a point about that. You know, it's one thing like smashing nerds on the internet, like, you know, playing with your feet. It's another thing showing up to these offline events and keeping your nerves under control and performing in front of a crowd with the lights on you.
Got a point there. So does Shuttle. This is an online tournament though, and Rush is on fire. Will he be able to snuff out that light, or will Rush charge through to a final victory and a double all kill? Making history here right before the ASL, a statement to everyone that he is here to play.
Yeah. Here to stay, here to play, and I'm happy to see the ways in which he wants to navigate both this game and the ASL. Like, there's so many interesting players in the ASL, and they've all like been putting in such hard work, and looks like we're going to be attempting a little bit of a block here. He has got the money for this Nexus, so it is a little bit annoying, but losing the SCV, not quite as worth it, but he will eventually lose that anyway because of the Dragoon's faster movement speed. It's actually kind of weird, the movement speed of the Dragoons, say. They don't have like a fixed movement speed. They move from like being like 2 pixels pixels per second of frame move motion, all the way up to then 4 to 6 to 8. So it's like each leg has got its own speed calculation, and it keeps like depending on what stage of the animation it's in, which is why they keep bugging out and bumping into each other, similar to like Goliaths and stuff.
A bit eccentric, the programmers for Starcraft Broodwar.
Yeah.
There hasn't really been a game like it. That is a great example of what makes this game so unique and special. It's just the weirdness. Like, why would you ever even think to do that?
I guess they're trying to simulate the natural walking of the four-legged units, right? So like Ultralisks and stuff and Goliaths, they all have legs. They're all walker units. So I guess they're trying to simulate this lumbering mass trying to make its way downtown. But it does kind of make them a little bit janky to handle, especially when they're all bumping into each other. It adds another element of craziness and uncertainty in this game. But at the highest of levels, you can also abuse that knowledge and get your units to actually do what you want them to do with that understanding.
Yeah, you can really start to separate yourself from just a regular player by your intimate knowledge and understanding of how the units move and function. And pretty much everybody at the highest level here in 2025 has such a depth of experience and knowledge that you're going to see some amazing things get done with their units almost every single game. And now Rush going to move forward with a push. This is a little bit scary here, but the wall comes up just in time.
Yeah.
His mine's placed right in the front. Not going to be able to block these vultures from getting in completely. The wall is not complete, but really good pulling back here from Shuttle so far. He's just going to allow the vulture to slip by, though. Vulture coming forward once again. Can he target down the mine? He really needs to target down some of these mines. Okay, he does get the mine and will clear everything. Really good hold so far from...
Oh, you spoke too soon, saying.
Almost perfect.
Almost perfect,
Almost
not quite.
perfect.
Yeah, really good from Shuttle thus far, besides that one mine. And also no shift hold on this mine laying from Rush, so he's not really shaving off the shields of these Dragoons as he's laying down the mines. So not the best micro from Rush either. This is the first game that Rush looks a little bit shaky, though. The supplies are currently even, so it's not like he's out of the game or anything. But Shuttle has a third base coming online fairly quickly here, so if he doesn't do enough damage to Shuttle, there's a possibility for him to explode in power. Does manage to kill this probe at the natural third. Maybe if he can somehow be annoying to Shuttle in a few more moments. Oh, he does kill the mine, though. Shuttle playing pretty good in this early game relative to Rush.
Absolutely. This push was shut down pretty handily, and because he was making constant vultures, it means his tank count is very low. This third base is a great idea from Shuttle, and he took it with confidence as he was dealing with the incredibly tricky micro.
Well, you know,
fighting back against these vultures. This is a really good play from him.
Well, you know, when Terrans are aggressive, they're making almost exclusively vultures in these early game scenarios. You make vultures when you want to be aggressive and tanks defensively, obviously. There are some rare exceptions to that when you want to like set up for like a 3 or 5 or 8 tank push or something. But in this case, where you're just harassing the Protoss and trying to do a little bit of an early game timing, yeah, you're making pretty much non-stop vultures behind that. Maybe one tank for safety. So Shuttle knows there's not really any timings he has to worry about now. He should be able to just churn along at a more regular, you know, standard ladder game rate and just macro up from this position and not have to worry about anything too crazy coming from Rush, at least for a couple of minutes.
Main concern is just to keep these probes alive during the transfer. If he does that properly, ooh, I don't know if he will be able to. Oh, God.
Okay, it's not too bad.
Probes. Okay.
I mean, he does get in here, though.
Forward.
Yeah, and this is the problem, is that now the Dragoons have to come deep in here. He's at the very least delaying the mining time, and now he can rotate around, try and kill 2 or 3 other probes the next. Doesn't actually get that many probes, so I would still say this is pretty Shuttle favored. It's not bad from Rush by any stretch of the imagination, but it's not ideal either. He's going to be going into a fast 5-factory play, both giving himself some attack options soon, but also giving him enough units to take his third base. What will be pretty critical, because Shuttle might come online in a big way in a few moments here. Is he rushing into Arbiter?
He is. He is rushing into Arbiter, playing a bit of an old school style, getting into Arbiter play from a position of strength. It is going to cascade him into a better position, I think. Rush really not going to be able to push across the map for some time, so this third base will fully come online. The Arbiters will come out, and then as Rush gets a push going, that Arbiter is going to be ready, or if Rush tries to take a third, Arbiter will be prepared for a recall. This is really good stuff from Shuttle. I'm actually getting excited here. We may have a really great game between these two players.
Absolutely.
And possibly another game to follow this up if Shuttle can somehow put together a win.
Yeah, let's all root for Shuttle here, guys, because that means we get to play more games and cast more games. So let's do that. Oh, but the Vultures get into the main. This is crazy. The Vultures getting into the main like this is wild. If there's no units coming out of the gateways at this present time, it's going to be so long before the rotation comes in. They're going to get at least 4 or so probes. You can sometimes drill the probes onto the Vultures to deny this because of the SimCity of Shuttle is actually pretty good. But it is annoying losing that much mining time and dealing with that. Does manage to scan and shut down that observer. Denying the vision in the main base is also pretty critical, so they can't see exactly how many factories are being made when, although he's got a pretty good read on the situation thus far. The starport's coming down at about almost 9 minutes 30, so not really going to be having such a fast 2-1 timing, mainly relying on like a 1-1 timing to push out with as many units as possible to both secure this third and put a little bit of pressure onto the Protoss.
Taking the third behind this push, Rush is securing his future as he goes across this map. How are we doing with Zealot speed? It's not done yet. That's going to be a critical upgrade finishing here as the push is coming forward, but how long until that's actually done? Will the tanks get fully set up in this natural, or will he be able to fight this before it gets into a really desperate situation, into a very strong position?
Yeah, when you're rushing tech like this, you're usually getting it finished up around about 10 minutes. He should have it now. I think he does. Yes, he does. He's going for a big dive in on these tanks. There might be just barely enough Dragoons here to do this. There's not that many Vultures to gun down these Zealots critically, so the Dragoons are getting great phase disruption shots on all of this Terran mech. He will be clearing up this entire force of Rush. This is beautifully executed from Shuttle. That 10-minute timing of the leg speed was just in the nick of time to punish this.
And setting up a defensive pylon there, just blocking out these Vultures from getting any damage, and the cannon finishes up in time. Dude, Shuttle is hitting every beat. He's playing very good, and even these Vultures might get trapped. Great trap there on the right-hand side. He's clearing out everything, and I mean, Rush is going to be able to take that third, but we're going to have recall here soon.
Yeah.
That's got to be a... Oh, gosh.
There's a bit of normal Shuttle shenanigans, yeah. It is what it is, guys. You know, it happens to the best of them.
And so we're going to have that Arbiter coming out pretty soon. Will he go for the recall right off the bat? He's definitely going to be able to take this fourth, no problem. He just reset the entire tank count. This is an eventuality. He will get this.
Yeah, this is kind of crazy. I mean, it's not necessarily a greedy fourth. Like, you want to take your fourth around 11 minutes on curve. 11:30, 12 is about as late as you want to take it in a standard game. So you feel pretty comfortable taking this after clearing that. And with the Arbiters, there's so much scan that Rush will need. And he'll also eventually need EMPs and vessels to help keep a vision on the low ground for his army while he's not constantly scanning, because you also want to save some of those scans to just find where the Protoss army is. It's so important to locate the Protoss army before you make your maneuvers. You can't just push out onto the map willy-nilly at this stage in the game, so eventually he'll need to save up some of those scans to both identify where the expansions are, where the army is, and then hopefully he's got enough remaining to deal with actually fighting the army while it's being cloaked up underneath the Arbiters, providing so much consistent value. It's not quite as high value as you can squeeze out of High Templars, but the expected value of those Arbiter units is much more in the middle range of things, so it's easier to squeeze the juice out of the orange with those units.
So where are the armories on the map right now for Rush? One's in the natural. Where's the other one? Might actually be in the main. I think that we're going to see Shuttle go around the top side of the map. That's such a difficult position to block an Arbiter from getting in. There's like a gap right over top of this third base,
right,
where the Arbiter can slide through and get a big recall into that main base. If there's an armory up there, it'll definitely be denied. Okay, there's the armory right next to the CC.
I think
He's already setting up. Look at all the turrets being set up here. He knows.
Yeah, he knows. He either heard you or he knows. It's probably the former. You can hear us somehow through the Starcraft vines. It is really important though to shut that down. It's such an easy access to the Terran base. It's hard to shut down recalls anyway, but he's going in right now. I think he has status available to him, trying to find a good one. Only gets one tank and a few vultures, but vulture status are actually pretty good. Stops you being able to clean up these zealots too quickly. There's not a huge count of dragoons, but there still might be just barely enough to chew through these tank lines. There's more zealots flooding in as well for Zealot. This might actually be a game-ending move at this rate. This is kind of crazy. He's clearing this many tanks with this force of just one single stasis being leveraged to enable him to do so. He does eventually have to pull out, but he has reduced so many of these tanks.
Really has reduced a lot of the tanks. Probably one of the worst stasis I've seen, but that was absolutely terrible. I mean, one tank, a couple of vultures, it's better than nothing. Hitting something a little further back, though, would have allowed him to get the zealots into the front line a little bit easier. He kind of blocked himself with that. You know, might have been much better served with a recall. However, he did clear a lot of these tanks. I couldn't see him taking a bad fight there. He took a pretty rough fight, though, and now Rush is actually even on supply nearly. This is looking a little bit better for Rush. Maybe he can still win this game, even after, you know, losing that initial army and now taking a fourth base. Can he really stretch out on 140 supply and take this?
Well,
or will that'll be able to come in and just cancel it?
I mean, he's got 7 factories. He can just barely do this. This is the more optimal way of taking your 4th base as Terran. You go up to 7 factories on 3, and then you get your 4th, and then you go up to 9. He's shutting down the probe transfers. Kind of massive for Rush in this game. Like I don't know how Rush is doing it, but he's actually kind of stabilizing the game state a lot. Like, Shuttle is nowhere near as ahead as he should be in this game. Like, I still think that Rush is in a very commanding position. If he can somehow get this 9 unchecked and push down on this vertical axis to defend, like, he's going to be feeling pretty confident about this game. As long as he can avoid a critical recall on top of his infrastructure later on, he's going to be feeling pretty good.
I can almost hear the Jin video, all of the pro players crying about having Shuttle on their team, and you know, their disappointed sighs as he throws another game, yet another series in the pro league. It might be a similar situation here. He was looking so good, he had such a position, but oh my gosh. This is so well set up for Rush, dude. How can he even get in there with a recall? I think the only place that's worth recalling now is the 4th base.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised that it's taking this long for Shuttle to try and take a main base. Like, he's got a probe coming up into the top right now. I thought he was going to try this like at least a minute or 2 ago. It's really surprising to me that he's only just now trying to take a corner of the map. With Arbiter, it's a little bit more understandable, but it's still, like, he was in a good enough position that you can just get this base online while doing everything else. There's no way that Terran wants to come out and push you that early on, especially after trading off that many tanks. So a little bit surprising that he's not secured another quadrant for such time. This may come back to bite him later on, because just as he's starting to get online with more bases, Rush will be pushing out with a maxed army with EMPs and D-Matrix. It's going to be wild. And looks like that Shuttle is going to be all bundled up trying to attack this 9 o'clock position, which allows Rush to fight him head on if this does occur, which is really ideal for the Terran.
Yeah, he's got a huge position here, deep tank line behind this, and coming up on this high ground, ready to confront the army. Shuttle backs away smartly, not going to take that engagement. Has learned his lesson maybe after that last one, the last fight in the natural going so poorly. It actually looked close, but the supplies told a different story. He lost so much stuff. Ooh. Wow, hallucination coming in. He's going to try and bait an EMP. Very smart stuff. Baits the EMP. Now maybe he can come in. No, another EMP is available. 200 energy on that thing.
Wow.
He's just going to be able to throw down some Stasis in the back. Where are the storms, though?
I don't know.
Doesn't have any storm, and he lets his army just kind of run in there. You need to get the stasis going before the full engagement, but during the engagement, once most of the zealots have already been wiped out, that's not the right time to utilize that spell. He's fallen behind in supply now, and Rush is just shoving forward.
This is kind of wild. The teammates of Shuttle probably pursing their lips. Finally, we see some of those Psionic Storms blanketing those Terran units, but it's too little too late. Still even on supply. Rush is surging forward through this center of the board. We'll be able to start launching assaults onto some of these bases soon, which is what Shuttle's really worried about. If he can't seize control over this center away from Rush, there's going to be nothing stopping Rush from launching so many assaults either to the top right or to the 6 o'clock, or just pressure the rally point of Shuttle. All of those are great options. He has so many tanks. That's at least 22 tanks that he has available to him. Not that many vultures to screen, but that stasis is pretty good. It might slow down Rush's advance a little bit here, but there's no way that Shuttle can engage this army head on. He's got a lot of zealots, but it doesn't really matter. That siege tank line is just too crazy.
He needs like 2 more stasis, I think, to be able to wipe this out. Like, he needs a stasis to hit 4 or 5 tanks and another one to hit some more in the back line, and maybe then he can push through. But Rush is really starting to spread this out. Here comes the fight. He is going to get maybe another stasis here in the back line with some of these tanks. Can he get a really good one here? 3 tanks on that side. Zealots are shoving forward. He's actually getting on top of a lot of this. This unstasis, all these extra units there on the top side, defrost, and Rush is still in such a great position. He is going to push down onto this base, and of course, Shuttle will not be able to break that spot. Oh,
this is crazy.
Oh my gosh.
Rush
has just crushed this.
Rush is just so strong today. Like, no one has been able to deal with him. No one. Even after getting into good game states. Jaedong almost completely demolished him, but still somehow managed to come back in that game. And now he's putting the final nails in the coffin of Protoss. They will be able to scoop up a singular point here as a bit of a consolation prize, but Terran is going to be getting that big 2-point lead and disrupting the pattern on the scoreboard. We see some desperation moves here from Shuttle, clearing out the mines in the wake of this army that's laying siege to him. He still technically has these other bases online in the top right, has some gateway production up there, which he should have had a long time ago, but it's not going to be enough to overcome this mountain that Rush has got set up right now. He's going to be containing the bottom right while starting to knock out some of these other bases.
Yeah, Rush can't get complacent here, but I don't think there's any chance he will. He knows how close he is to a double all kill, and he is going to push through for the victory. There it is. GG.
Wow.
Shuttle taps out. Double all kill. Absolutely insane. He will only get a single prize, 600,000 won, but the double all kill making a huge statement going into this upcoming ASL.
Let's go straight into it.
All right. Our beautiful graph has been messed up, Shun.
Yeah.
We've thrown a wrench into the symmetrical lines that were being put together here by our pro gamers. Finally, the streak has been broken. Zerg second place, 5 weeks in a row? Finally going in last place. Protoss stealing that position away.
Yeah, we currently have an equalized position going into week 6, 5 apiece, but Terran currently on trajectory to escape low Earth orbit, it seems. Like, if they keep going on this rate, they're gonna eventually start to cross into the territory of the actual Zerg label up there. Kind of wild stuff how strong Terran has been in this last couple of weeks.
The only way that one of these 2 teams can steal away that top spot now, with only 2 weeks remaining, they have to win twice in a row. And Terran has to go out 3rd place twice in a row. It seems unlikely, but crazier things have happened. Truly anything can happen in the KCM. We've seen that time and time again. We've learned that lesson. Not to judge a book by its cover, not to count our chickens before they hatch. We gotta wait and see exactly what's gonna come out. before we make those judgments.
Yeah, it does seem like everyone's playing like a machine with the ASL just around the corner in a few days now, guys. I mean, I can almost count the seconds it's that close. I'm so stoked to cast that tournament with you, saying it's going to be nuts.
Yeah, it's going to be so much fun, guys. That's going to be broadcast live on the Soup streaming platform. You can find the link down in the description. Go on and check that out. I'm casting the SDS, the Soup Duel series on there, best of sevens, every single day, Wednesday through Sunday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. The ASL is going to be streamed live on the 24th, 25th, and 26th at 7 p.m. KST. So don't miss out on that, guys, especially that first stream. I hope we get a lot of people in there for it. The 24th ASL, 7 p.m. KST. First ever Shun and Saiyan stream.
Yeah.
That is going to be hype, dude. I am so excited, and I'm sure that that's history getting made there. If you guys are going to show up to any of our streams, definitely show up to that one.
Oh, absolutely, guys. Please tune in and show your support. We do appreciate it so much. Some of you guys have already been showing us great support over on SETVN channel at Soup. We really do appreciate all of you guys that have been tuning in, throwing some gems our way, and you guys that have been continually supporting us through Patreon. We hope that still continues. We want to keep bringing you all great games, both from the KCM, the SDS, the ASL, and a bunch of other stuff that we got coming for you guys.
Yeah, the SCSL, we just casted that as well. That's going to be coming out the semifinals and the finals soon. Shun and I are going to be casting those. So much StarCraft content going on right now. We really appreciate you guys tuning in to this show, this kind of side piece, this side show to the ASL. It really means a lot to us. Thank you again. We'll see you in the next one.
Thanks, guys. Nice.
Crazy good.
Yeah.
Crazy good play from Rush. Holy crap.
Really nuts.
That comeback from against Hero. Oh my gosh. Can't believe he got in there. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and he also made Jaedong look silly after Jaedong was in a really commanding position as well.
Yeah. Yeah, he pulled him apart. I want to go back and just look at this. All right. So when Shuttle attacked Rush, that first big attack, he was 40 supply ahead, full 40 supply ahead. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh
yeah.
my gosh.
I'm
It's
sure.
just oh wow. Okay, so his arm, like, right at the second, like, of course this army isn't at the base yet, but he was actually 192 supply right as he was about to engage to 138.
Wow.
So clearly a lot of that's in the gateway, but still, that is such a massive supply lead.
Yeah, but that's kind of how it works. So you start the fight with more zealots being pumped, so that as the fight progresses, you've got more zealots streaming across the map to kind of help finish off, right? That's how best plays.
Gosh. Oh my gosh, man. I can't believe he threw that stasis down. That is bad stasis. Holy fuck.
It was kind of cool we got to see hallucinate, but yeah, too little too late.
Dude, if he just stasises the 3 tanks at the back, there's 3 tanks in the back that are right next to each other. If he just threw a stasis down there, he actually probably breaks this and wins the game. Yeah.
Yeah, stasis is a double-edged sword. Sometimes your stasis loses you the fight, because not only you don't stasis enough units, you don't stasis the right units, it like body blocks your zealots, and you don't get good surface area, and it makes the trades a bit weird. It's just, yeah, that's not good.
When this train of zealots made it in to the third, or into like those tanks at the back line, I actually for a second there thought that he was gonna break.
Right.
But too many dragoons died. Way too many dragoons died. And then he runs backwards into mines. God.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's pretty painful.
Oh man.
I'm sure his teammates were cursing at the screen a little bit. I bet you they laughed or rolled their eyes when they saw the Dragoon trapped on the gateway, and then the rest was like insult to injury.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the Dragoon getting stuck on the gateway just shows that he's not properly planned his SimCity on that map. Like, he's kind of got it down, but not enough. Shows that he's playing a bit too much on autopilot.
He's just a goof.
He really is, man.
He's definitely that guy that you don't want on your team when you're playing sports. You know what I mean? Where you're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
This guy is gonna like fumble and, you know, make an ass out of himself and then laugh and, you know, talk shit. Oh my gosh.
He's the problem child in the Starcraft world.
He's like not a serious competitor, but he's somehow still really good.
It's kind of weird, yeah. It's wild.
Thing.
That's what always amazes me, that he's still able to hang with the rest of the pros despite being such a sausage monkey.
Yeah. True sausage monkey. Purest form.
Yep.
Wow. All right.
He was playing pretty solid in the early to mid, but past that was a bit weird.
Yeah, that was weird.
I don't know why it took him so long to take top right as well. Like, with his position, he should have been a bit more greedy with taking that. Because you want to get gates set up there as soon as possible.
Yeah, he got me excited for a second, as he generally does. It's kind of his like trademark. He gets you like, oh wow, he might actually have something here.
Shuttle, you're actually playing pretty good. Then the goofiness happens. Oh, okay, back to usual self. That makes sense.
Back to usual, yeah. Yeah.
Equilibrium has been restored in the universe.
Yeah, that is Shuttle in a nutshell.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Yes.
Oh, is it done already? I think my recording's done.
Oh, nice. Wait a second here. Where's my... Oh.
When you putting this out?
I'll put it out tomorrow.
Okay.
Week 6.
Week 6.
Alright, I'm gonna use the washroom here. I'll be right back.
Yeah, me too. Hope you guys enjoyed the stream. I'm gonna going offline in a few moments here, but I really do appreciate you stopping by. Please go and support us on the super channel SVTVEN on super.com or whatever it is. We're gonna be doing some ASL casting soon, guys. It's gonna be all kinds of crazy. Be right back. Alright, I'm back. Man, double all kill for Rush was kind of wild. I mean, I expected that guy to play good, but not that good. It's wild. I was actually imagining him playing like really solid, maybe getting like 2, 3, 4 wins, but he got 6 in a row. It's crazy. Just think about that, beating 6 pro gamer tier players in a row. And they're different races. It's kind of wild, man. Yeah, Sam?
Yo.
Yo. Send you a link, buddy.
Cool, cool.
You got anything planned today? Just chilling?
It's 9 p.m. I think I'm just gonna relax. Oh, it's my my 2-year anniversary, by the way. So
nice. Happy anniversary, man. I hope you had a great time.
Thanks.
Did she seem to enjoy it?
Yeah, she enjoyed it.
Cool.
She picked it. I let her. Just, what are we gonna do today?
Yeah, nice.
Yeah,
can't go wrong with that.
No, I'm just so busy right now. Can't be fucked. Like I got so much shit to do. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, we got extra workload to worry about now, haven't we? You especially.
Yeah, for sure. So for the ASL stream, I was thinking basically what I did when we did SDS is I took the amount of gems that we earned and then I just
I'm on stream still, by the way, just so you know. Keep going.
Oh, okay.
Do you want me to end stream? I'll go to end stream right now.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Alright, guys. Thanks for watching, guys. We need to talk about some stuff. I'll see you on the flip. Bye bye.